The fluorescent lights flickered as Mark Jenkins stared at the mountain of paperwork before him. His hands trembled, not from the 5 cups of coffee, but from knowing his daughter Lily was alone at home with a fever. The CEO's cold eyes bore into him from across the desk. "I'll bet you won't last 10 minutes, she said with a smirk. Little did she know, Mark would not only stay all night but change both their lives forever. If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content that reminds us of the extraordinary strength we find in ordinary moments. Mark Jenkins adjusted his tie for the 5th time as the elevator climbed to the 47th floor. At 38, he never imagined he'd be starting over at an entry-level position, but life had other plans. After losing his wife to cancer 2 years ago, he'd been struggling to keep their world from falling apart, a world that now consisted of just him and his 12-year-old daughter, Lily. The doors opened to reveal the gleaming headquarters of Meridian Enterprises, one of the city's fastest-growing tech companies. The receptionist directed him to a glass-walled conference room where orientation would begin. Mark was already 15 minutes late. Lily's school had called just as he was leaving. Her asthma was acting up again, and he'd had to drop her at their elderly neighbor's apartment before rushing here. "Mr. Jenkins, how kind of you to join us." The voice cut through the room like ice. Victoria Chen, Meridian's notoriously demanding CEO, stood at the head of the table. At 42, she had built the company from nothing into a tech powerhouse, earning the nickname, the Glacier, for her cold efficiency and impossibly high standards. "I apologize for my tardiness, Ms. Chen. There was a family emergency." "Save it," she interrupted. "Your personal problems aren't Meridian's concern. Take a seat." Mark swallowed his pride and sat down. This job was everything: health insurance for Lily's medical needs, a steady income to replace their dwindling savings, and hours that would allow him to be home in the evenings. He couldn't afford to lose it on the first day. The orientation dragged on until 6 p.m., when the other new hires were dismissed. Victoria asked Mark to stay behind. "Your resume says you have experience in data analysis," she said, scrolling through her tablet. "We have a project that's behind schedule. I need someone to organize these files tonight." Mark glanced at his watch. "Tonight? I'm sorry, but I need to get home to my daughter. She's not well, Anne." "Mr. Jenkins," Victoria cut in, "perhaps I wasn't clear. This isn't a request. The project deadline is tomorrow morning, and someone needs to prepare these materials. With all due respect, Ms. Chen, I can come in early tomorrow, but I really need to." Victoria's laugh was sharp. "You know what? I'll make you a bet. I bet you won't last 10 minutes sorting through these files before you quit and run home. Most single parents do. They make promises they can't keep, put their personal lives before professional commitments, and wonder why they never advance." Mark felt heat rise in his face. "You don't know anything about me or my daughter." "I know enough," she replied. "I know that in business, sentiment is a liability. So prove me wrong, Mr. Jenkins. 10 minutes. If you're still here after that, I'll be surprised." She dropped a heavy folder on the desk and walked out, leaving Mark alone with his thoughts and a mountain of unsorted data. Mark pulled out his phone and called Mrs. Abernathy, their neighbor. Lily's fever had gone down, and she was sleeping. The kind woman assured him she could stay with Lily overnight if needed. With a heavy heart, Mark texted Lily that he had to work late and would make it up to her. Then he opened the folder and began to work. 1 hour turned into 2, then 3. The office emptied as night fell over the city. Mark organized spreadsheets, cross-referenced data, and created the presentation Victoria needed. His eyes burned, but determination kept him going. He would not give her the satisfaction of being right. At midnight, the conference room door opened. Victoria stood there, surprise evident on her face. "You're still here." Mark didn't look up. "The project isn't finished." She walked in, setting down a cup of coffee beside him. "I didn't think you'd stay." "That was your mistake," Mark replied, finally meeting her gaze. "You assumed because I'm a single parent, I can't be dedicated to my work. The truth is, I have to be twice as dedicated to everything, my job and my daughter, because there's no one else." Something shifted in Victoria's expression. She sat down across from him. "Tell me about your daughter." The question caught Mark off guard. "Lily. She's 12. Smart as a whip, loves science and art. She wants to be a marine biologist." Despite his exhaustion, he smiled. "She's been through a lot since her mom died, but she's the strongest person I know." Victoria was quiet for a moment. "My father was a single parent," she finally said. "He worked 3 jobs to put me through school after my mother left. I rarely saw him. That must have been difficult." "It was. I promised myself I'd never depend on anyone else. That's how I built Meridian." She gestured to the files. "What have you found so far?" Mark showed her his work, explaining the patterns he'd discovered in the data. Victoria listened intently, occasionally asking questions or offering insights. Before they knew it, another hour had passed. "There's something else," Mark said hesitantly. "Your marketing strategy is targeting the wrong demographic. Your product has potential applications for educational institutions that you're not exploring." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "That's not your department." "No, but my daughter's school uses a similar system, and the teachers hate it. If you made these adjustments, you could corner that market." To his surprise, Victoria didn't dismiss his suggestion. Instead, she pulled her chair closer and asked him to elaborate. They worked side by side until dawn broke over the skyline, revising the presentation and incorporating Mark's ideas. As the first employees began arriving, Victoria stood up. "The presentation is in an hour. Go freshen up in the executive washroom. There's a spare shirt in my office closet." Mark nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Miss Chen." "Victoria," she corrected. "And Mr. Jenkins? I was wrong about you." The presentation was a success. The clients were impressed with the thorough analysis and innovative approach. When they asked who had developed the educational market strategy, Victoria surprised everyone by giving Mark full credit. After the meeting, Victoria called Mark into her office. "I'm promoting you to senior analyst, effective immediately," she announced. "The position comes with flexible hours and the option to work remotely 2 days a week." Mark stared at her in disbelief. "Why?" "Because you proved something to me last night. Not just that you're capable, but that sometimes the strongest leadership comes from those who understand what really matters." She paused. "I've been running this company like a machine, demanding the same sacrifices from others that I made myself. But what you showed me, that balance between commitment to work and devotion to family, that's something Meridian has been missing." Mark was speechless. "Go home, Mark. Your daughter needs you. Take the rest of the day off. We'll discuss your new role tomorrow." As Mark gathered his things, Victoria added, "And Mark? Bring Lily to the company picnic next month. I'd like to meet this young marine biologist." 6 months later, Meridian launched an educational software division with Mark at the helm. The company instituted new family-friendly policies, including on-site childcare and flexible scheduling for parents. And Victoria? The employees no longer called her the Glacier. The ice had melted, revealing a leader who understood that true strength comes not from isolation but from connection. As for Lily, she thrived with her father's new schedule. Her health improved, and she even started a science club at school, with occasional guest appearances from Victoria, who discovered she had a knack for inspiring young minds. One evening, as Mark and Lily were leaving the office, they ran into Victoria working late. "You know," Mark said, "someone once bet me I couldn't last 10 minutes at this job. Best bet I ever took." Victoria smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. No, Mark. The best bet was the one I lost. Sometimes the greatest victories come from the battles we never expected to fight. Mark didn't just prove his worth that night, he showed that being a parent doesn't make you weaker in the workplace, it makes you stronger, more resilient, and more capable of seeing what truly matters. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind us all of the extraordinary courage found in ordinary lives. Remember, the strongest people aren't those who never fall, they're the ones who rise, again and again, for those they love.